Sometimes referees ruin football. Referees are enemies in the game of football. Some of them are great guys, but some have ruined the best moments in the game. Did you know that referees have scored goals, fought with players, helped teams win major trophies, and even changed the rules in the middle of the game? One even fouled the player and gave the same player a red card. Before we get to that, let's talk about this one who scored a beautiful goal in the Dutch League's 4th division. He was a referee turned striker. He scored a stunning goal and still had the guts to point to the middle. Maybe he should just change his jersey. He failed to celebrate though, but come to think of it, whose name was written as the goal scorer? It's gotta be the name of the referee because it wasn't a deflection and wasn't an own goal. He would later be forgiven because the team he scored against still won the match by 4-2. Maybe the referee didn't get another goal-scoring opportunity. He would have scored more. But number 18 was not forgiven, even by his employers. During the final moments of a French league match between PSG and Nantes, this referee was accidentally tripped by Diego Carlos. Instead of maintaining his cool, he lost it and swung his foot in the player's way, causing him to fall to the ground. If the referee was a player, he could have gotten a red card for that action, but the man who deserved a red card quickly stood up and issued a second yellow and a red card to Carlos. Can you believe it? He could not believe it either because he issued an apology 2 days later. Even that couldn't save him. He was suspended for 6 months, and considering he was 51 at the time, he was forced to end his refereeing career because of this one incident. At least his embarrassment was minimal compared to number 17, who embarrassed himself in front of the entire world. During the 2006 World Cup, this referee showed Croatian defender Josip Simanic a well-deserved yellow card in the 61st minute. Any other booking would send Josip Simanic out of the game, and he knew it. But the referee who issued the card and took the record didn't know it because in the 90th minute, he issued a second yellow card to Simanic, but the defender kept playing. He became the first player in history to continue playing after receiving 2 yellow cards, thanks to the referee who seemed to have lost his mind. But the drama continues because moments later, the defender got punished with the 3rd yellow card for protesting his second booking. No, it's not what you think. He didn't forget to bring out the red card this time. Simanic seemingly told him, "Hey dude, where's my red card?" It was one of the funniest moments in the game, but the poor referee couldn't stand the embarrassment. It was the only match he officiated at the World Cup before seeking FIFA's permission to return home. Issuing 3 yellow cards to one player was nothing compared to the law broken by 16. This referee was confidently looking at his wristwatch and blowing the final whistle in an AFCON match. What time was he looking at? Because it was just the 85th minute of play. Both teams, the spectators, commentators, fans, and even the assistant referees were shocked because the 3 extensive VAR checks were supposed to incur sufficient additional time. Maybe the guy was concerned about the players' fatigue and decided to reduce their work time. After all, the boss can tell his employees to close early. But the Tunisian coach, whose side was trailing by 1 goal, stormed the field to express his displeasure. The security helped calm the situation before CAF officials intervened. The match was restarted a few minutes later, and JJ Okocha had the best words to describe the Zambian referee when he said, "The referee wanted to maintain his consistency of bad decisions." Again, he ended the match 10 seconds before 90 minutes. The seriousness on his face, like he was doing the right thing, makes the drama even more interesting. Thank goodness for the security officials. Maybe he would have left the pitch in a wheelchair. Number 15 didn't do as much, but he was hated more because he mishandled the calmest footballer of all time. Kaka was the N'Golo Kante of his time. He was loved, even by rivals, for his calmness. This referee decided to mess with him at the 2010 World Cup during a group game against Ivory Coast because of this. How was that a red card? The Brazilian only raised his arm for safety because Abdulkader Keita didn't know where he was running to. The referee instantly became the most hated man in the entire world for messing with the world's most loved footballer. Maybe he wanted to become the first referee to give the Brazilian his first international red card. Kaka maintained his calmness after the unjust punishment, but his grandmother didn't. After the extreme punishment, Kaka said, "Even my grandmother was angry with the referee. I can't repeat here what she said. With all the respect, she has launched a bit of a tirade at the referee." Most Brazilians found it difficult to forgive the referee, same as it is difficult for the English fans to forgive number 14. This referee and his assistants probably believed a ball that did not touch the net wasn't a goal and prevented a possible quarter-final qualification for England. Germany was the better side against England in the knockout and was leading by 2-1. The Three Lions desperately needed a miracle, but what they got was a tragedy. Frank Lampard got the goal to make it 2-2, but the ball did not touch the net before bouncing back. Everyone in the stadium knew it was a goal, including the German players. The only men who didn't know were the ones who should know: referee Roberto Rossetti and his assistants. England ended up losing the match, but who knows? Maybe the goal would have given England the needed motivation. After the game, Lampard said his side would have continued the game with more momentum if the goal was counted. The decision sent shockwaves to the football world, and calls for goal line technology intensified. When the calls were heated, the technology caused another blunder in number 13. It was the first Premier League match after the long COVID break between Aston Villa and Sheffield United. There were not only 1, 2, or 3, but 7 cameras from all angles to see if a ball crossed the line. If it does, the referee's wristwatch vibrates or gives him a visual signal in less than a second. Then, this happened in the first half. The Villa players were embarrassed by the goal, but the referee got no signal from his wristwatch and continued play. At halftime, then Villa player Jack Grealish told Aston Villa's manager, "We got away with one there. It was 5 yards over the line." If it was a goal, why did the goal line technology fail? The makers of the near-perfect technology apologized in a statement after the game, saying the 7 cameras located around the goal area were significantly occluded by the goalkeeper, defender, and goalpost. If it was the technology that failed, why was the referee blamed for the disaster? Because he trusted the technology too much and failed to do his job. He would have contacted the VAR. Sheffield United's manager Chris Wilder said after the game, "My biggest issue is that VAR didn't step in. To not intervene was a disgrace. VAR was brought into the game to be used in situations where major decisions are wrong. This blunder had minimal effect on the Premier League table that season, but number 12 almost stopped Portugal from going to the 2022 World Cup. Portugal began this match against Serbia with the certainty that they would get the win that guaranteed their qualification for the 2022 World Cup. Little did they know that this Dutch referee would stand in their way. With the game tied at 2 goals each in the final minutes, Ronaldo scored the goal that sent the fans wild. He was celebrating, but his teammates were not running to meet him because the referee and his assistants thought the ball did not cross the line. The goal scorer was given a yellow card for trying to prove how the ball crossed the net. The referee's crime was enough for CR7 to storm out of the pitch and ditch his captain's armband. Did you know a referee once recorded a side netting as a goal? And Frank Lampard once wanted his 3-year-old daughter to teach a referee the rules of the game? Keep watching, because you're yet to see the worst refereeing moments. One such moment was number 11, when a referee loved Raheem Sterling so much that he awarded him a penalty for falling over himself. How was that a penalty? Sterling must have been shocked getting up to see the referee pointing at the spot, and there was a 5th official 2 meters away who was supposed to get a clear view of the embarrassing fall. Even Pep Guardiola, who was far away from the penalty area, said he realized instantly it wasn't a penalty. An apology was necessary, but it didn't come from the referee. It came from Sterling. "I want to chip the ball and don't know what happened. I didn't feel contact. I scuffed the ball. Apologies to the ref." But why didn't he tell the referee before taking the penalty? Guardiola suggested he would have told the referee to overturn the decision, but why didn't his defender tell the referee that number 10 was a penalty? At a time when Everton was struggling to survive relegation, they faced Manchester City in the Premier League. Everton held on to the best team in the world until the 81st minute when they made the first mistake of the game, which led to this. It was a heartbreaking moment for the players and the fans. Some of the supporters were even leaving the stadium when the perfect moment came in the 85th minute. How on earth was that not a penalty? The referee turned the perfect moment into a disastrous one, and even a VAR check couldn't help. Pep Guardiola confirmed it was a handball but thought Richarlison was offside. When it was confirmed that Richarlison was onside, Frank Lampard wished a referee could understand the game like his 3-year-old daughter. I have a 3-year-old daughter who could tell you that was a penalty. Comparing a referee to a 3-year-old is possibly the worst way to describe a match official, but it is not a bad way to describe number 9, who awarded the most bizarre goal in history. It was a boring Bundesliga game between Hoffenheim and Bayer Leverkusen, which produced a goal that was not a goal. Leverkusen were up only 1 goal in the 68th minute. Then there was a corner kick from the left, perfectly delivered for Bayer's striker Stefan Kiesling to score. The next thing the referee saw was a ball in the back of the net and the striker's hands were on his head. He was disappointed with the goal-like miss. Bayer's players were running to the striker and Kiesling quickly switched to celebration mode. The confused referee awarded a goal. How on earth was that a goal? The ball had gone in through a loose part of the side netting, and the man with the whistle would have given a goal kick. The ghost goal stood, and it was the reason Leverkusen won the match because the game ended 2-1 in favor of the visitors. It was the most bizarre goal in history because to date, no other player had scored through the sides of the net. I bet you'll never see a goal like that again, just like you would never see something like number 8. This referee broke an unwanted record and was hated by 2 footballing nations. He was a legendary La Liga referee and appeared on the biggest stage at the 2022 World Cup to officiate the quarterfinal match between the Netherlands and Argentina. Many still recall how the Netherlands equalized in the late minutes and how Argentina won on penalties. But what was talked about most was the performance of the referee. Apart from giving 1 red card, he issued 18 yellow cards. No, it's not the number of cards he issued in the entire competition, but in just 1 game. He gave yellow cards at the smell of a foul. Thank goodness he's not a wartime soldier. He would have shot at just anything. Instead of pointing fingers at the referee, Messi tackled FIFA for selecting an incompetent guy for the game. I think FIFA must take care of this. It cannot put a referee like that for a match of such magnitude, such importance. The referee cannot fail to be up to the task. When one team hates the referee, the other likes him. But that was not the case here because Van Gaal also criticized the referee, saying, "We were robbed by the referee versus Argentina." The revered referee was soon demoted and forced to retire. Talking about being robbed by the referee, number 7 is the perfect example. When a referee doesn't want a player to score, all he needs to do is blow the whistle for whatever reason. It was a Premier League match between Manchester City and Tottenham Hotspurs, and the game was tied at 3 goals each. City desperately needed a win to keep their title hopes high. The goal was not forthcoming, but in the final moments, this happened. This has got to be a movie. The referee just waved play on after Haaland was fouled and blew the whistle when he realized Grealish was going to score. Why then did he wave play on? No wonder the City players were furious. The legendary Howard Webb described the incident as an officiating mistake. Maybe that's a referee defending a referee, but that looks more like a referee deliberately using his whistle to deny a goal. Haaland got a better explanation on his social media after the game. He wrote WTF. In the end, it was just 1 game, but the WTF moment in number 6 is possibly the reason Harry Kane has not won a Champions League trophy. It was the semi-final clash between serial winners Real Madrid and Bayern Munich. Real was the clear favorite in the game until this happened in the 67th minute. With this scoreline, Bayern was heading to the final of the Champions League. The table turned in the 90th minute after Manuel Neuer made this mistake, and then this a few minutes later. Bayern had seconds to redeem themselves, and when the opportunity finally came, the linesman raised his flag for offside. That's crazy. With the use of VAR, who raises a flag and blows the whistle in such a tight position? The VAR handbook states that the assistant referee should delay the flag if an attacking player has a free run or is in a very good scoring position moving directly to or within the penalty area. But when the assistant referee raises the flag prematurely, the referee must withhold his whistle. It seems the referee and his assistant don't have copies of the handbook. That's why Thomas Tuchel took his time to lecture the officials after the game. The referee does not have to whistle. To whistle, it's a very bad decision, and it's against the rules. It's a bad decision from both of them. It's a disaster. You can't mention disasters without talking about number 5, when one of the best goals in the game was disqualified because of a referee's short-sightedness. It was in 2005 when Mendes dared to score an 89th minute winner from the middle at Old Trafford, and somehow goalkeeper Roy Carroll helped him complete the task. The referee and his assistant insisted they did not see the ball cross the line. Sometimes you wonder how everyone else could see the ball cross the line except the only 2 men who were supposed to make the decision. The goal was too beautiful to disallow, but the good thing is Pedro Mendes thinks it's funny. He laughed it off when asked about it. I've never seen one so over the line and not given in my career. He was a true gentleman, but I guess he won't be a gentleman if the referee kicked his balls like in number 4. Normally, when there is a fight in the game, it is usually between 2 opposing players, but that is different in Mexico. Sometimes the referee gets physical, like this one. The referee was issuing a card to Lucas Romero, who believed the decision was wrong. He and his teammates quickly surrounded the referee in protest, and then the referee did this. The player crumbled to the floor after the contact. Maybe he thought someone would give the referee a red card if he did that. In defending himself, the referee said it was an accident. How on earth was that an accident? The dude just kicked the wrong balls deliberately and called it an accident. Anyway, the referee got a punishment that is more than what a player would get if he did the same thing, a 12-match ban. The player quickly forgave the referee and wished the punishment was minimal. Obviously, referees are human beings. Many times they can make mistakes. But not all mistakes are equal. The top 3 mistakes made by referees are so expensive, there's nothing to make up for them. Number 3 crushed the spirit of an entire nation, cost them a place at the World Cup. They even begged FIFA to allow them to become the 33rd nation at the South Africa World Cup because of the error of one referee. It was the second leg of the 2010 World Cup qualifiers between France and the Republic of Ireland. France had won the first leg by 1-0 and needed a draw to progress to South Africa. But to the amazement of the entire world, Ireland held the team of world stars to ransom. Robbie Keane made it 1-1 on aggregate and forced the game into extra time. But in the 103rd minute, something shameful happened. Every Ireland player surrounded the referee, but he and his assistants insisted that the ball was not a handball. Maybe he got confused by the extent Thierry Henry celebrated wildly. Did you know that the referee left the field of play feeling it was the best game of his career? But when a FIFA official later revealed to him that it was an intentional handball, the Swede broke down in tears. He would later say, "It was the worst performance of my career." He regretted the decision, but more than a decade later, almost everyone on the pitch that day had retired, but the pain still lived with the Irish people. McShane, one of the players that day, said in 2022, "I don't think I can ever be over that, to be honest with you, especially for the night that was in it to qualify for the World Cup. It was a tough one to take." Maybe McShane would have to ask the English players how they managed to take the bitter pill in number 2 when they crashed out of the World Cup because of an iconic illegal goal. The referee's error caused the match ball to be sold for $2.4 million and the jersey worn to commit the unforgivable act sold at $9.2 million. The journey to the expensive mistake began when England took on Argentina in the 1986 World Cup quarterfinal. England was a clearly better side, while Argentina was a team of average players with the world's best player in their midst. England did everything legal to prevent him from scoring, but the smart Maradona decided to do something illegal to break the deadlock. England's midfielder, Steve Hodge, tried clearing the ball, but it went in the keeper's direction. It would have been an easy catch for the goalkeeper because the only challenger for the ball, Maradona, was 5 feet 5 inches tall. They both jumped, and the Argentine somehow used his hand to score the goal. The English players were furious, but even the referee was outsmarted. Maradona would later say he scored the goal with a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. Argentina went on to win the World Cup, and in 2022, the jersey Maradona wore that day was sold for $9.2 million. It was supposed to be the most painful moment in soccer, but somehow everyone seemed to love the crime. But there was no way anyone would love number 1 because the referee became a 12th player and sacrificed his career to help a team progress to the Champions League final. Chelsea had never won the Champions League, and 2009 was another perfect opportunity after losing the 2008 final on penalties. Chelsea needed a win in the second leg fixtures against Barcelona to secure their place in the final. And in the first half, this magical moment happened. This was Chelsea's only happy moment because for the next part of the game, they played against a perfect Barcelona team with the referee on their side. Chelsea wanted to wrap things up with a second goal, and when Drogba got this ball, Chelsea fans around the world thought this was it. The 12th player? Oh, sorry, the referee just ignored that. Maybe he didn't get a clear view, but what about this? He could still be forgiven for this, but it seems after this, the Barca players realized they could do anything and go free, and Piqué started playing with his hands too. Did he just get away with that? After 3 clear ungiven penalties, Iniesta broke the hearts of the Blues, even more with this screamer. After this, there was no way Chelsea would be heading to Roma without scoring one more goal. When the opportunity to score the goal came, this happened. Wait, maybe the referee thought that was a goalkeeper because only goalkeepers use their hands like that. It was Balak's last chance to win the Champions League. No wonder he chased the referee like a thief. Drogba was furious and ignored a little boy's request to take a selfie with him. That boy was Kylian Mbappe. 10 years later, Drogba paid his debt. That day I said no because of the disgraceful refereeing decisions. He didn't forget the decisions, neither did the referee, Tom Henning of Rabo. When asked about the performance in 2018, he said, "I can't be proud of that performance." Do you think this was the worst refereeing moment in football? If no, please write your worst refereeing moment in the comments and don't forget to subscribe.